Today, we have something very special. It is the king of introductions, the master of hyperbole himself. Andrew, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. That was a pretty good introduction. The king of introductions. This is very meta right now.
Because you introduce and you hyperbolize in the process, yes.
I do. Indeed, I do. I'm glad to be here with you, man. And look at this, everybody. Vetemor and I both have fancy microphones with custom. He helped me get this one. We got our windscreens matching our microphone cables. I totally copied Vetemor style, so 100% credit goes to him on this cool mic. Thanks, buddy.
Well, we got them imported all the way from Germany. Shout out to Germany for being the only country that sells awesome windscreens.
Of course, it took 2 months for them to get over here. And when the bag came over, it was like, have you ever seen Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, where he beats up the package before he delivers it? It's an old movie, but it was just busted. And luckily, it was foam, so everything was good.
It's been through a lot. It's been through a lot. So we got to obviously cover CryptoCon. I got to ask you, is this your first crypto-oriented convention that you've ever been to?
Second. So the first one I went to was permissionless, and that one down there in West Palm Beach. I live in Florida, so it was close to me here in the United States. That was my first one. That one was obviously DeFi oriented, and it had like a side of gaming, let's say. And the Australia CryptoCon, on the other hand, the first one ever in Australia, that one was more like crypto industry focused. So not only was it DeFi, it was also exchanges, it was games. It was Michael Saylor calling in on a keynote. It was like Bitcoiners. It was everybody in the crypto tent was there. And it was a great event, actually. For a first year, it was solid. A couple thousand people showed up, and we got to demo Private Beta 2 to the people there physically first. They were the first people to ever do it. And obviously a number of influencers showed up, got to see Scoriox and Vulcan and others in person, which was really cool. And I thought it was a pretty successful event. And it kind of showed me that Australia culturally is a lot more open to crypto than even the United States is, generally speaking. Almost all the taxi drivers and cab drivers I was talking to, even the hotel receptionist I was speaking with, were like, I wish I could be at that conference, they were all telling me. So Australians, they like to buck the system. They don't like to be ruled by a government. They like this sort of control that crypto provides. And I learned a lot about their culture and the way that they kind of see this space. So I see Australia as being a country that is going to thrive in terms of crypto industry. So Warwick's set up shop in the right place, I would say.
Well, they were born there. We've obviously got IMX there. It's just, it's a bit of a hub. And
it is a hub, yeah.
Yeah, totally. And what were your sort of highlights of the event, and what do you think could have gone potentially better?
Yeah, sure. So highlights of the event were first of all, this was the first time the Illuvium core contributors all got to meet each other and hang out physically in person in a big group. So we had about 30 or so of us to do that. That was huge for all of us. We've all been working with each other remotely for a long time. A couple of us came from the United States, me and Rich, and being able to physically see everybody and get a sense of everyone, huge for teamwork. Now I'm working with people I wouldn't have normally worked with, and more collaborations are happening. So that part was really great. Number one. Number two, at the event itself, I think being able to get in-person reactions from real customers, if you will, of the product, and understanding what their actual first impressions are, from literally children to women that are 70 years old playing the game, and really gives you a sense outside of the crypto broosphere that we that we see so much content from, where we get lots of what does the 25 to 45-year-old male think about crypto? We heard enough of that, right? To hear it from regular people going to this conference was super enlightening. And it really helps me think more clearly about how we should mass market the product. For example, the number one piece of feedback I got from everybody when I asked people what was the coolest thing you saw in the demo, what do you think it was, if you were to guess?
The actual Illuviums.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It was the alluvials themselves, but more specifically, they just said, 50% of the time I asked this question, it was, what's that dragon-looking one? I don't remember the name, but their fire move looked so cool. And it just kind of reminded you, like, right, you just have to really take a step back.
It was just
And
Ramfire.
it was just Ramfire's Omega ability. That was like the most striking and cool thing where they said, wow. And that's the one thing that they remembered. It's not the tokenomics. It's not the NFTs. It's not the synergy system. It's not augments. It's not any of this nonsense we're all paying attention to as hardcore ILVers. It's dragon move look cool. And so
Don't let
that doubles
Aaron hear
down.
you call it a dragon, though.
I know, but you know what I'm saying. I know it's not a dragon, but the point is, that helps me double down on the thesis the Warwicks have had this whole time, which is you got to have AAA graphics, and you need to have that curb appeal of it just being fucking cool, just on its surface level, all the crypto aside, to get people interested. That was the top
Iconic.
feedback. Top feedback. And so and then number 2 feedback was Atlas cute. So people thought they were seeing Atlas for the first time, and women in particular. There were 3 different women that I interacted with at the booth. They saw, like, we had the wallpaper up of the splash to log into the demo, and they were like, "Oh my god, I love that character." I was like, "What?" And they would pull up 3 separate times. They pulled out their phone to take a picture of the wallpaper on the launcher of Atlas, because it was the first time they saw the character and they thought it was unbelievably cute. So Atlas cute, Ramfire cool, like that curb appeal matters a lot. And for me, it just having experienced that in person, I don't have to guess that's the way the market thinks about this. That's truly the case.
You've actually experienced it.
Yeah, when you see somebody, when you feel somebody, when you see the light in their eyes and it happens right in front of you, as a marketer, you're like, shit, that is it.
Yeah.
You think you know what it is, and then the market tells you, no, that's what it actually is.
What was the third most talked about character?
The lynxes. I think a lot of people brought up the lynxes. They didn't know what to call them. They're like, yeah, it's like the furry thing with the thing on its head, and it went raw and had a paw or whatever. It was the lynxes.
The lion.
Yeah. The lion or whatever. They had various descriptions for it. That was the other character. That was the other thing that they mentioned. And everybody that played Private Beta 1 and got to test 2, they all said the graphics are just improved drastically. Or noticeably, let's say.
Yeah, we've been watching a few streams and we're like, what?
Yeah.
And the animations, it's just, I can't wait to get a hold of it.
It's a significant improvement. Like here in the studio, I'm capturing gameplay here, and we're going to be posting some of it I'm just doing it on this computer here. We're going to be posting some of it soon. I'm going to give one to Kieran too, of just the Ramfire animation and everything. It plays better on this 3080. I get 30 more frames on it. It looks better. And the gameplay is smoother. And so I don't know. I think just version over version, it's improving nonstop. And I'm excited. It kind of makes you don't realize how early the previous version was until you see the improvements and the polish on the next version. And you go, oh shit, I could never go back. And then you start to understand why the developers are so picky about when we are allowed to show or beta test things with audiences or with gamers, because they have all these things they want to be in the product that you think are minor as somebody who's not a developer. But then once you put all those together, you're like, oh shit, okay, it's actually way better now. And so you got to trust the devs, as a lesson that I learned.
One concern that got brought forward by a community member recently was that they said a month after the previous patch release of PB1, Ben had said that the checkpoints were literally ready, we could release them now, we're playing these builds now. And what they're sort of wondering is, why did it take 4 months, and why not release potentially just more builds, just to give the players that are actively playing Private Beta 1 more quality of life improvements along the way, or even play with lynxes. Maybe the cards aren't finished. I don't think that players would actually mind. They fully acknowledge that it's a private beta, and it almost feels like Private Beta 2 is almost like finished product looking polished. Obviously there'll be bugs, it's a beta, but why has it been polished to this extent when it is still just a beta?
I mean, did you see how polished Private Beta 1 was before we gave it to everybody?
I'd
It's the
say,
same.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same issue with Private Beta 2. Like our Private Beta 1 had a greater level of polish on it than almost every game that's in Web 3 right now. And so those same group of individuals are thinking we want to have a similar level of polish on our Private Beta 2. So that's the real reason why. So why not iteratively release some of the stuff along the way?
Yeah, maybe like not new characters, but just like the quality of life improvements. Like
Yeah.
just patch the crashes by taking off Groom, you know, like the simple things.
I don't know how that would impact the timeline of rolling out the full Private Beta 2 or not, other than to say that would negatively impact us being able to get out the full Private Beta 2. If we were to have to constantly deploy updates to Private Beta 1, that would take the team off of working on the full Private Beta 2.
Right.
And to my knowledge, the plan with Private Beta 2 is to have significantly more people in there testing it. So the sooner we can have that out and have it be polished, then the sooner there's a new group of people with their first experiences, this really fucking polished product. And so I understand as a content creator and as a member of the community, if I wasn't a core contributor and I wasn't I'm in the dev meetings.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this all the time. If I was in your position, I would say, why can't you patch it so I can make more content and show more stuff and have more to talk about?
Yeah.
Of course I would want that in your position. But from the developer standpoint and from the us getting this product to market standpoint, the final launch product will be here faster if we don't update PB 1.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, and we just go straight to PB2. And so if ultimately our goal is to launch the Illuvium game suite of games, the 3 games that need to launch, this will be the fastest path to achieve that objective. And so at the end of the day, that's probably what we all actually want the most, even if we feel impatient in the interim.
Now, I can already hear the response from like, I just want to have these questions answered so that they have been answered. And that then also, if people are asking me, I have clear responses as well. If, for example, the internal team, they're playing updated builds, right? And they're playing a build a month after PB1 is out, and like a lot of the bugs are fixed. There are huge quality of life and would potentially just keep community engagement and retention in the like. At the moment, almost nobody plays PB1. It's like 40 people a day. Maybe it's slightly more than that. I'm not sure, but all we know is that like 3 hours after like deck reset, the leaderboard isn't even full yet, meaning less than 20 people have played. I remember like 3 months back, 10 minutes in, the leaderboard was full. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's not fresh there's not enough
Yeah.
fresh content to keep people interested, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what you're bringing up is the age old question of how do you roll out content to people?
Yeah.
Do you do it in the batch updates model?
Yeah.
Or do you do it in a rolling hot fix, let's say, into an expansion model? And so I think that probably, like, because this is beta testing phase, having the beta meet the developer requirements. So just keep in mind, we're not doing the beta for community engagement. That's not the objective at all of Illuvium Game Studio. Though people that are in the community engaged with it think it's for their engagement. It is not. It is strictly to test the game. And so the developers are going...
But isn't it better if they're testing the game and the newer builds and upgrades more regularly rather than the like 10, 20 internal people testing a build? Like maybe even release additional patches, but just to like a smaller group of the private beta people, like maybe of 500 or 1,000, or is this already happening, but we're just I'm not aware of it? Is there a group of smaller beta testers getting advanced testing?
There, to my knowledge, the group of advanced beta testers or whatever is internal. So whenever we roll out like a new big set of things, those will be tested internally first,
Yeah.
just to make sure they're not completely fucking broken. And they're like functional on a very basic level. So the things that have to be fixed with that stuff is like stuff I would never want you to see. And it would just be so obviously broken and dumb that you'd be like, what?
Of course. Yeah.
So once that stuff is shored up, then that new set of content and then that new set of things is now ready to potentially be rolled out to the public and a part of a larger deployment. So yeah, that phase needs to happen internally first, where we catch those like big, obvious, dumb things. But to your point, would it be better though? Like, are you asking, would it be better for us to, let's say, we do augment system and then like it's ready?
Like initially stress test internally, then maybe like let 500 people play on it, and then maybe go, well, this build, we can actually release it. Like there's 500 people playing on it. We're playing on it internally. Why not? Like from a like player standpoint, it's like, well, they've got the file. They're playing on the file. Why can't they give me the file? You know?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of considerations there. That totally makes sense. I think there's a lot of considerations there. It not only so it's all about the testing. So for example, I'm not a developer. I'm just speaking based on me hearing the developers talk about it in meetings. So for something like an augment system and new alluvials, there's no point in just doing augment system and having you test it until we have the new alluvials in there. We don't get to learn jack until we have everything in there all at the same time, because that's ultimately what needs to be tested. And so we can give you one piece of it and you could test it. That's worthless. Or not worthless, but that's not that valuable until we have all the alluvials and the augment system and the improvements and hotfixes. And then once everything's in there and the pie is fully baked, then we're actually testing something real that's meaningful to us, or I'm speaking for the development team, that's complete enough to give useful information to the development team on how these systems should be changed, because they're all connected and they're all interrelated with each other. And so that's one of the reasons why just giving you one slice of the pie at a time isn't that useful, because we need to make the whole pie work, not just one slice at a time. So I think that's one reason why. But sure, I think in a perfect world, it would be better to roll out small features and small updates along the way, keep people engaged, have nonstop news and updates and check this out and keep interest and hype going. I think that would be better from a marketing perspective to have that happen. But from a development perspective, I don't think that would be very useful to the development team.
On the marketing side a bit more then, because obviously at the moment Illuvium's on a like zero timeline. We don't give dates, which I think is totally fine policy. Like I'm absolutely fine with it. But honestly, I think
time does not exist.
Time doesn't exist. But I honestly think that we are currently at an unprecedented time in Illuvium, where we have more leaks coming out every single week, whilst at the same time, people feel like there's like lack of transparency to what's actually going on behind the scenes at an all-time high. And it's really like, I've been trying to wrestle with these two things, because you're doing an like epic job with all the leaks with Grant. Like,
thank you.
Honestly,
Grant deserves most of the credit for that. So Grant was really pushing that initiative with me.
Von Leekman.
And I think to the next showcase, we're going to have him. You're the first person I'm telling about this. We're going to have him, Dimitri, our senior art director, who I met in Australia, and then we're going to do an Illuvium Zero full preview. I think we're going to do gameplay. I think we're going to do art, and I think we're going to like show the full web product in its current state, so everybody can see. Everybody can see everything in action. People are like, when? I'm like, well, just the closest we can give you to when is here's what it is right now.
Yeah,
take a look. And so that's the plan for the next one. So I'm gonna get Dimitri on camera. He's a cool dude, by the way. And he goes hard, way harder than me. Australia, man, they know how to drink over there. But Dimitri goes hard. So anyway, it'll be fun to have them on stream. So so where was I? What was the original question?
Yeah. What I was actually gonna ask is it was more of a suggestion. Is there a way that we can actually get beyond just leaks, more like information leaks, where maybe we have somebody 1 week or every 2 weeks, on for an interview, maybe with a content creator, maybe just with you, like it makes no difference to me, but like to be interviewed on like what's the like you don't have to give us a date, but what's the progress on this specific part of the project that you're working on? How, like
Yeah.
what are you in like that minutia, and just like the day-to-day anecdotes and stories from their experiences that really give a community member but also an investor some perspective on where actually is the project behind the scenes. And as much as like we love the leaks from Grant, it's becoming a weird like community meme of like what those are just rocks. Obviously, like we need rocks to build a game, but like I want people to also my biggest concern is that like there's big VCs that are basically just they know what they're doing and they're not scared to hold Illuvium because they know what's coming. You know what's coming. I know what's coming. But then there's a ton of community members that might be experiencing fear from lack of information, and I want to keep them informed to keep them understanding what's going on so that they don't lose track of what you're aware of as a team member. That's
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think, we're doing a better job, not even a perfect job, but a better job of showing the creative and art side.
100%.
But we're not doing such a good job at showing the like dev side or like doing a per product set of marketing per product.
Yeah,
I agree with that. So part of the issue is getting people to come talk to me on camera. They're not willing. I mean, a lot of like it's hard to get people on camera, basically, to talk about stuff. We're working on it slowly. There are some individuals across different departments that are going to be more willing. Me meeting with people in person in Australia, loosening them up, them getting more comfortable with me helps. But a lot of the people that are developing these products are not on-camera people. They're generally introverts that focus on things. They're engineers, they're programmers. And so, the idea of coming on and camera like you and I do is terrifying to them.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is they are the same type of person that wants whatever they're showing to be done, then they get to show their finished masterpiece.
Yeah.
They're not the type of person that likes to talk about what's in progress. So those are some challenges for me to get those people on camera. Have I asked? Yes. Have the co-founders encouraged them to come on with me? Yes. Has that happened? No. So it's not a new idea.
Are there people that are like more willing to speak that might be aware of their progress, or you could even talk to them privately and then release the information, like just of like progress reports?
Yeah,
like a percentage rather than like a date kind of thing.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So I don't know. There are some options there. Talking with Nick, our project manager, is one option for that. He literally does like we have like a percentage complete on all the kinds of crap internal meeting. And then being able to talk with Aaron on camera would be helpful, but he's been out for medical reasons for a bit, right? Yeah. And so that has been a missing piece. And then Aaron's dev blog is essentially what you're describing, but on a monthly basis. And that gives you the full detail. So I think like at the very least, talking with Aaron about the status of everything regularly would help.
Would help, yeah.
Well, it would help, but he's been unavailable. And so I am going to continue to try to find ways to share that insight with the current community and to help them understand where all the products are at in their different statuses. I think it's a good suggestion, but also being realistic. Let's say I did that every week. Then the feedback would be like, but why can't you do even more updates than that, Andrew? Like the feedback would be like, do even more. Like, sure, you're doing the dev updates, and sure, you're doing the Illuva talks, and sure, you're doing Illuvium Showcase, and sure, you're doing Kaka's Cave, and sure, Kieran's doing 5 AMAs a week, and sure, you're doing 3 AMAs a week, and sure, you're doing a dev blog, and sure, you're doing the email updates, and sure, you're posting on social media all the time, but why can't you do just more? So no matter how much we do, people are going to want more, and that is inevitable. But that doesn't mean that we should like write it off, though. I think you've pointed out
I'm right here.
Good point.
I'll take workload off your plate. Send them my way.
Look, if they'll come on with you, bro.
I'll sort you out.
I want them on camera. I want them on camera, bro. I know what you're saying, though. No, I think you're right that you pointed out like a hole in
Yeah.
the coverage on the dev side
Yeah.
is not really there right now, and I think that's it's a good observation.
I just felt like I had to point it out, especially with you here. And I feel like you're in the correct position with marketing and what you do to really just have a conversation about it. Because I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about, and it's something that is almost like being skirted around. And I just wanted to like really specifically point it out. But I'm not. I don't want to grill you any further. I think you.
I don't feel grilled.
But I do want to grill you a little bit on what you actually do, which is at the moment creating videos for Illuvium. I want to ask you, what videos do you have in store for us? What are the things that you're planning to cover in the coming weeks, months, etc.?
Sure. So as it stands right now, we've got an Illuvitar's explainer video pretty much finished for when that launches. We're gonna have to do like a full-blown Illuvium Zero overview video. That one is in the works. Excuse me, I've got a number of PB2 gameplay oriented videos that are being recorded and will be published soon. Got a PB2 tutorial video that needs to come out. And outside of that, we'll have the weekly live shows that I'm already doing. And we also have a series of Illuvitar reveals and marketing videos that we're going to be releasing too that show the evolution of Illuvitars in fancy looking animations. And that's what's in the pipe right now. I mean, I've got a bunch of like campaign specific videos for different product releases and what have you, but that covers like the three major releases I need to focus on: PB2 gameplay videos and tutorial videos. Then we need to do Illuvium Zero, kind of like a reveal video, if you will, plus tutorial video. And then we've already got the Illuvitar explainer video plus marketing videos complete, or in the cards. Like they were pretty much ready to launch before albums and collections came along, and so now we have to go redo those effing videos. Thank you, governance. So got to add in the collections part. I got to go redo the marketing. But so those are the videos that we have in store. And then as far as like interviews and shows are concerned, I'm going to continue to do showcase, continue to do Illuva Talks each week. I'm taking about 2 to 5 interviews per week myself. Kieran is aiming to take about 20 per month or something stupid. And then I am looking to add an additional show. I'm working on it right now. A collaborative show, official collaborative show between IMX and Illuvium under a new brand.
Nice.
That's going to be hosted by Kieran Warwick as well as Robbie Ferguson. And that is going to be like a more premium podcast under a new brand. I'm in pre-production for that right now, trying to get that locked in. And then I have another secret partnership I'm working on with a top game in the space. And that one, I'm looking at doing content collaborations with them as well. So those are the things in the pipe right now.
As obviously the daddy of video, you're not allowed to have favorites, but which video that you're actually going to make are you kind of like most excited to get stuck into?
That I'm going to make?
That you're going to make?
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
That you have made?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, they all like each category of video requires a different type of creativity. So a trailer requires you to be more emotional and in touch with like somebody's emotion and hype. An explainer video forces you to be more intellectual. And then a tutorial video forces you to be more relatable. And so I like them all for different reasons. I would say the one that I'm most interested in making right now is the Illuvium Zero launch video, namely because it's really a real challenge. So I don't have any cool 3D stuff I can fly through. I don't have any like animations or anything like that I can pull from like our trailer that directly relate to it. So it's going to be a challenge for me to make Illuvium Zero exciting in a video because it's a town builder mobile game. And so I'm excited for the challenge of making that exciting and not just intellectual, like an intellectual explainer video.
Because it's a tutorial, right? Yeah.
Well, I've got a request to make like a launchy type video for the beta, and How do you make a mobile town builder game exciting? Have you ever seen town builder game ads? They like they have to like
They're like
the
all about
idea is
the characters and like big things happening, and then
yeah,
they
it's like
zoom in, and it's like okay,
it's like buildings, and you're
Yeah.
clicking the building, and it's all like very cerebral. So
Yeah.
I've got some ideas of like how things are going to pop out of the screen and become larger than life, and show how that game relates to our overworld. And I'm going to make the story of Illuvium Zero about how it connects to the overworld. And it's like it's not just a town builder game. It's like the first real cool example of interoperability within video games. And I want to show the economic impact and then the gameplay connection between that and the overworld. I think that'll be cool. And I don't know. It's gonna be hard. I like that. It's gonna be hard to make that one interesting. That makes it a real creative challenge, and I have to think about it.
My mind, as you were talking, I had a little flashback of something you said earlier. You said that in PB2 they're expecting to try and onboard even more people.
Yeah.
How many people are they trying to onboard exactly? Like how planning to create the room for?
I don't know the exact number. I think right now in PB1 it's like 25,000,
Something like
that. My expectation, and maybe I'm wrong, but my expectations we'd do at least double that in PB2.
At least, yeah.
At least.
Maybe quad
So
it.
50 quad. Let's quad it up. Like the tech team right now is like,
100K.
what? I mean, my expectation is we try to do double. Like we need to start getting towards scale.
Yeah.
So we have way more than 50,000 registrations for these betas. So we have plenty of players. That was my expectations. We try to double it. Maybe we can go more. We'll see. I think it all depends on A, tech team being ready, and B, Kieran randomly saying, let 5,000 more people in, go. And then the dev team being like, oh shit. So that's pretty much how that process goes.
I do like what TSG's been working on like any little partnership, like give everyone 10 like private beta spots to give out in all the collaborations we do, like spread it out to loads of different communities. I quite like that idea of like spreading that access. If we've got 25k spots to give out, that's a long time worth of giving them out.
Yeah, we need to do a better job of giving them out, not just messaging people that already have them. So it's a cool prize, I think. And it's what we want. Like, here's the gift of using our product. Like, sounds good, right? That's what we want, people to use the product. So, yeah.
If someone is watching this right now and they don't have private beta access, you guys should turn up to the Twitch Thursdays trivia on the Illuvium Twitch, by the way. Quick plug.
You should do that.
You should. Trust me. You'll thank me later. Totally pulling out into just the gaming meta as a whole. I've been looking into just gaming altogether recently, and the way that big gaming companies are like actually creating less and less games over time, because potentially creating a new game could decrease the revenue that they're still earning from an old game. And whilst obviously it costs a large investment to invest in a second game. And then with Kieran recently talking about like us trying to reach potentially, I don't know, 9 games in 10, 20 years, whatever. How are you, what are your thoughts on once these 3 games come out? Should we even release another game for 5 years? Should we like just really knuckle down on improving these games, putting extra value into them whilst working on just like one big project on the side? Or is there a way that we can potentially, I don't know, get other teams to almost use our IP on our behalf and like almost like franchise Illuvium? Because if we've got the first Web3 model that works, why hold all the risk?
Okay, that's 2 separate questions there. I think I've got 2 good answers for those. So first question, legacy game studios making less games because they want to milk the ones that they already have. So yeah, they have to do that because once the players invest in that particular game, They have to keep returning to that particular game, all the value sunk in that game, and there's no way to take the value out of that game and bring it to another game
Yeah.
because they have an integrated blockchain technology. So they are stuck in the model of having to milk a game till it dies. We are not. So we can build a game that's successful. It can last 5-10 years. And then all the alluvials you get from that game, you can take to game 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and it's interoperable within those games in a meaningful way. So the way that our games have been designed so far is not only are the NFTs going to be interoperable on like a surface level, let's say, but each game is going to be designed to be dependent on the others in some fundamental way. And so it's not a bad thing to have more games come out. In fact, it's a good thing because it drives more interest in the other games.
Because we're interoperable.
Because they're deeply interoperable.
Yeah.
It's not just that the item you collected is usable in the other game. It's that you need to do something in game number 4, 5, and 6 to have a benefit in game 2 and 3 or whatever, or however they're connected. They're deeply interoperable. Illuvium 0 is deeply interoperable because you need to harvest fuel and resources to use in the overworld. You cannot do things in the overworld without resources. Deeply interoperable, not you got a skin in Illuvium 0 and it's usable in the other game and that's it. And so that's the way these games are going to be designed moving forward because you've got Aaron at the helm to where the games need each other. That's what being an interoperable blockchain game is. It's not a marketing gimmick. It's not a surface level thing. It's not a you milk everybody for cash on one game, it dies, and then you move on to the next and you sell and move on to the next. It's the games are deeply dependent on each other. So that's the huge difference between legacy gaming systems and the systems that Illuvium is building. So that completely changes the game. Like, for example, Blizzard. Blizzard doesn't develop that many Warcraft properties. They have World of Warcraft right now. They have Hearthstone. And then they tried revamping Warcraft 3 and fucked it up. So why don't they make more Warcraft games? You're right, because they want to milk the current Warcraft games they had. But if they had blockchain technology integrated, they could make a new Warcraft game where if you're doing certain activities in World of Warcraft, you could take those resources to the new game. If you're doing certain challenges in Hearthstone, you could take those resources to the new game. If you climb so far on the ladder in Warcraft 3, you could take those resources to the new game. And then that new game would be deeply interoperable with the previous games. And all the marketing around the new game would drive traffic back to the old games, even more so than it currently does. They're missing out on that. If they integrated blockchain technology into Warcraft franchise and they did such a thing, I made like let's say a Warcraft, I don't know, Sims game. I'm just going to make up a genre. It doesn't really matter what it is. It would be wildly bullish for their studio. And they would be able to move so much of the value of their previous titles to new titles and back into the archives and the catalog that they have. But they won't do that till next decade. So that's the answer to question number 1. The answer to question number 2
Can we do question? I just want to respond to that. Just sure. on what you said, the one doubt I can see that some people might have with that narrative is, well, if I buy something in the first game and then it's usable in the next game, that's great. But then say I'm an investor, how am I getting money from people joining the next game? But then who's actually playing the new game and buying stuff in the new game if there's enough sort of circulating assets for everyone that they can just exchange them between themselves, potentially, and maybe not buy anything new to play the new game that would probably also be free to play access.
Yeah, so not everything is interoperable. So that's the solution. Not every item is interoperable. Yeah. So if you look at the way things are right now with our current games, you collect an alluvial in the overworld, you can battle that in arena.
Yeah.
Not literally everything you can collect in the overworld. You're pooping on the arena and you have all these items and things you harvested everywhere, right? It's one type of thing is brought over to arena. Same thing with Illuvium 0. the fuel and the elements that you collect there are you bring those over to the overworld. You aren't bringing your fucking buildings over and your
Yeah.
resource sites and your mega cities in like
But you still
it's
own
not
those, yeah.
you still own those, but those are in the
Yeah,
other experience.
yeah,
So if you design like one thing or one category of thing that is the bridge between each of the games, then you can keep it balanced and you can keep it sensible in how they're interoperable. But you don't literally smash the two games together. You have to put a bridge between the two games, and that bridge needs to be narrow and defined.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference between a bunch of this metaverse nonsense people are talking about of we're going to teleport between metaverses and you're going to use blah, 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 and yada, yada. It's like they're thinking they can just smash two cities together and have it work. Like you got to build a bridge between those two cities, not smash them together. If you smash them together, it'll be a shit show.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I'm saying?
that was very well answered, sir. That was very well put. Very well put. Very well
Cool.
put.
So I think the bridges are pretty defined and are small and limited right now. I believe it or not, these are like caveman versions of I think the way these bridges will look in the future. And to use the bridge analogy, I guess, future games, maybe even future Illuvium games, will have more lanes on their bridge.
Yeah.
And trains underneath, and the bridges will be bigger and more robust between games as we figure out how to do this. Illuvium's got a very small and narrow bridge between our games to play it safe from a design standpoint.
Yeah.
We're trying to do something too complex to make these games
There's
interoperable
more
with each other.
fail points, yeah.
Yeah, it could F it up. The economy could go poorly. It could be too complicated for people to even understand or care, right? So simple is better.
So
just like
when
when
it
you're
comes to
building a bridge- Go
Illuvium,
ahead,
the
go
thing
ahead.
that you can export is the alluvial, whereas like if you go in the overworld, you capture all those items, you can craft within that game with them, but you can't export them out. But when you can sell them, you can craft with them, you own them, but they're not necessarily usable in any other Illuvium game, right?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Like some of them will be, and some
Yeah.
of them will not be. And we will define the narrow bridge that connects between
And you
the
can
games.
exchange between them within that game anyway. So there's always a way to move things around in a sense.
There is, and the Illuvidex is a way to move things around. Like you don't like the resources you got in game XYZ from Illuvium,
Sell
go
them
sell it
there.
on the Illuvidex.
Buy whatever you want in the other game. There we go.
Exchange it for whatever you want. Exactly.
That's the hot air balloon.
That's it. That's the hot air balloon that's helping you get the resources across all of the different titles. So there's bridges in this analogy, and there's a hot air balloon evidently now. So, so I think that this is a good starting place for the industry, and it's a good way for Illuvium to test this out. We could completely fail. You never know. But at least we're taking a risk and we're trying, rather than selling everybody a load of baloney about how it's going to go Ready Player One, in a couple years, which is a bunch of nonsense.
The main reason why I'm still here and continue to be here is because I'm yet to hear anything more compelling from anything else in this space than this. This is that's why we're here. Like,
yeah, it is. It is. It's why I'm here and I'm not running my business. I put on hold. I want to see this through. I want to see this come to life. If it epically fails, okay. Well, at least we tried to do something new. At least we tried to do something that took a risk. At least we tried to do something that changed the gaming industry in the right direction, or at least what we feel is the right direction. Rather than copy pasting old ideas from the past and then just trying to suck people dry with some new crypto nonsense on top to fund it. So hopefully that's how things play out. Now you have a second part of your question that I totally forgot now.
the
Licensing to other studios.
Yeah.
So, are we open to licensing to other studios? Like, let's say we launch in the scenario that we launch all three of these initial games,
Or even potentially like buying other studios, like different, rather than splitting our team in half. I mean,
buying other studios. Yeah.
so, like down the line, you know.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. So obviously, anything here would need to be approved by the council, of course, and reviewed thoroughly by a council, because we don't, as core contributors, we don't make those decisions. We just provide our opinions on them. But I think that are we open to those ideas? Yeah, of course. I mean, of course. So for example, let's say we launch all three of these games. It goes well. We update them a bit. Players are coming on board. Things are going well with the Illuvium franchise. We're moving into the next bull run. Everything's going well, right? And let's say, I'm just going to throw a name out here. Let's say CD Projekt Red contacts us and they say, you know what? We think Illuvium is super compelling. We want to do a deal with you to make an Illuvium RPG game. Now, what do you think we're going to fucking say to CD Projekt Red, the makers of The Witcher 3? And you can hate on Cyberpunk 2077, but it's fucking awesome. If they told us, you know what, we want to make a full-blown RPG game with your intellectual property, do you think we're going to say, you know what, we're not going to take that meeting? We're good.
We got to have a conversation at least.
At least we got to explore it, right? Like we would be crazy not to explore opportunities like that. That would be wildly irresponsible for us not to. So of course we would explore conversations like that. What if Blizzard Entertainment came to us and they said, you know what, we really like your intellectual property, and you know we would like to bring back the real-time strategy genre, and we want to have our leads that made StarCraft 2 make an RTS for Illuvium. Would we go, hell no, get out of my face? Of course not. We take that meeting, right? We'd explore those opportunities. We'd be stupid not to be open to the most talented developers in Web 2 and Legacy coming in here and saying, we're interested in participating in this space and we want to contribute. Of course we would be open to that. Of course. And then also, you have to ask, well, would we acquire other studios or something like that in the process? So let's say there is a studio out there that has a specific expertise and a history making a certain genre of game, and they have tech that would help us, make one of the 9 games we want to make happen faster, and they're literally experts on that. Of course, we would be open to things like acquisitions or licensing or partnering with them or hiring them to do such a thing. I mean, we're already partnering with third-party studios right now for development on Illuvium games. We'd be stupid not to field those opportunities. So the answer is yes, of course. And I don't think that we're going to have so much ego that we wouldn't consider it. I think that Grant and Aaron in particular will be very choosy on who they would want to work with. They're going to have very high quality standards. So that's why the examples I brought up a moment ago of CD Projekt Red telling you they're going to make you an RPG, that would be the highest quality standard of RPG, right? Or Blizzard telling you they're going to make an RTS for you, that would be the highest quality standard for RTS, right? So I brought those up because our quality standards would be quite high if we were to work with a full-blown licensing opportunity or something like that. Yeah.
But the general plan in action is to continue to expand the team and potentially split it into like continuing to maintain the existing games and expand them and potentially like building out like the next game or games.
Yeah, the plan, to my knowledge, the plan is to use the in-house team as it's being grown to make more games. The plan isn't to
to develop into just a
plan isn't to stop
huge
and
studio.
Then outsource an entire game or something. That is not the plan, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as you finish games, or like as parts of your team finish working on one game, but another part of your team needs to keep working on the game, that part of the team can start working on the next and the next and the next. So it's not just like whole team does game 1, then whole team game does game 2, and whole team game does 3. It's fluid and rolling into future titles. Yeah.
Well, overall, this has been an absolutely amazing conversation.
It's because of our microphones. Like, seriously, we have the hottest looking microphones in the entire world.
Let's go. Just like last thing, when merch? When can people expect some merch? Man,
you need to interview. You know what you should do? You should interview Brian Porter, our director of merchandise, and he will just tell you everything. I don't
gladly
know, man.
Set it up. Link
to say that we have thought about having merchandise available for the holiday season would be accurate. We have thought about that, but I would want Brian to speak about his plans, and I certainly don't want to poop on his parade. He's got I know he's trying to keep some things under wraps. Grant's like leaking his cool hoodies and his hats and crap. And Kieran's like posting he's like, look at this shirt. I'm sure Brian was like, I wanted that shirt just to drop it.
I want 10 of those t-shirts, man.
Dude, wasn't the shirt sick? Just
They
that
were
subtle
so
black
sick.
design.
A few
want that shirt.
people, like someone retweeted it after saying, I barely even noticed it. And then someone comments like, I thought Kieran was joking. I thought it was just a black t-shirt. But then when you zoom in, it's like, that is luxury. That is on point.
Yeah, look, Kieran knows luxury, by the way. So if you ever meet him in person, Kieran wears like designer brands and stuff. He's got like a Gucci bag and he's got like fancy pants. I don't even know. I don't wear those brands, but they're expensive looking. So he is familiar with like luxury brand clothing and merchandise. So I'm actually glad he's working with our merchandise manager. He's familiar with those looks. He's familiar with what that quality and that like sort of like taste level is. And so I think Kieran's going to be very helpful in there. Because personally, I just buy. I don't care about fashion at all. I buy basics and like I don't care. But the luxury look and quality there is important. Not only do we want that on the merchandising side, but we would also want that on the like if we ever sell statues and like action figures and things like that. At least the initial batch would be very high quality, like collector's edition level quality. Yeah. I was in the office and I saw the 3D printers there that Grant uses and what have you to print these. They're like really high end. And we, at least initially, the hardcore ILV people will be getting very premium merchandise offerings. And then like I think we mentioned offline, you and I were talking, as we move down the road and we move toward general market, then we need to move things from like $100, $200 price point down to like a $50, $20 price point, right? So, yeah. And then the quality will decrease, in the process, right? But that's all about finding a quality manufacturer.
Thank you for coming on, bro. You're an absolute legend. I'm actually speechless. You just answer questions so amazingly. Thank you for coming on so much. Where can people find you? Where do you want to send them? What do you want to tell them?
I don't need to sell anybody here any Illuvium stuff. Y'all are already like, I mean, you follow Vetemor, you're a freak for Illuvium. Just follow me on Twitter, man. Just at AWAL Crypto, AWALL Crypto. And I share my own thoughts and also different interview stuff or AMAs or different activities we're doing that wouldn't be shared on the main Illuvium account. I kind of view my account as like being a secondary Illuvium account. So you can catch like kind of different stuff there if you're interested. Other than that, just stay subscribed to Vetemor's channel, man. He'll tell you what's going on in Illuvium. You don't even need to follow Illuvium. Just follow Vetemor.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. Definitely like this video and subscribe to this channel for more Illuvium content. I'll see all of y'all in the next one. Peace.